All right, guys, welcome to season 2, episode 2 of Phaser Friday. It is the podcast that launches on the last Friday of every single month. I'm so excited to dive into episode 2. Before we do that, I want to thank one of our season 2 sponsors. Literally could not be doing this podcast without him. Leading Edge Grading and Construction. They are out of Dallas, Georgia, not Dallas, Texas, Dallas, Georgia. Chris Porter is the owner. I can't thank them enough for all the support they've given myself and our team for this podcast. Check them out on Instagram. It's at Leading Edge Grading. You can find them on Facebook, and they've also got a website coming soon. What I love about them is they are truly value-based and relationships and people-based. They are leading the way, literally, in what they do in their business. Just the way they over-deliver for their clients. They communicate very, very well, and people want to work for them. It is just the coolest thing to see, and I'm so thankful and so grateful that Chris and the whole team at Leading Edge want to be a part of what we're doing on this podcast. So Chris and the whole team, thank you so much. Everyone, if you want to go check them out on Instagram. It's their at Leading Edge Grading, and their website will be coming soon. With that, I want to dive into this episode here. We got a good one. Season 2, episode 2. Let's go. All right, guys, here we are. Phaser Friday, season 2, episode 2. I'm joined by Jordan Smith, the president of Voigt Smith Innovations. How's it going, man? Thanks again for being on the show.
It's going great. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's so many things I want to touch on today and dive into, but I mean, first, if you don't mind, just kind of jumping into like who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So Jordan Smith, as you introed me, appreciate it again. I am the owner of Voigt Smith Innovation, which is the main company we'll talk about in here. But where I got started was with my landscaping and snow company, Smith Lawn and Landscape, based out of Mankato, Minnesota. Started that way back. Yeah, that's right. Started that way back when just after I graduated high school while I was attending Gustavus Adolphus College. But prior to that, I guess going way back, I started mowing lawns when I was a kid, just like a lot of people that started a landscaping company. I think when I was 12 or 13, I was mowing neighbors' lawns, obviously mowing my own parents' lawn. When I got my driver's license, I started hauling around a push mower in the trunk of my Pontiac Grand Prix. And when I got to college is when we really started doing more of the hardscape and more, the bigger install type landscape jobs. But, it's funny in the landscape snow industries, how a lot of people have that same story starting when they're a kid, using the push mower, either on a trailer behind their bike or in the trunk of their car. So it's a pretty typical story. And where we went from there is our snow division was really our best division, most profitable. Saw a lot of opportunity there, but we never could really compete with the bigger companies in our market on the amount of equipment or the size of our company. So we competed by differentiation. And the way we did that was by using liquid de-icing technology, again, through the Smith Lawn and Landscape Snow Division. And what that evolved to eventually was what is now Voigt Smith Innovation, where we manufacture and sell liquid de-icing equipment.
Yeah, I love that, man, because, I get to talk to so many, landscaping owners or excavation company owners, construction companies. And it's really cool to see, your company kind of work with these companies, and you are on the other side. So do you see kind of both sides of the equation where you have owned the landscaping company and now you're kind of providing to the landscaping companies?
Yeah, I think honestly, that's a big part of our story. So I still own the landscape company to this day. As far as my day-to-day role, that's taken more of a back seat. I have great people behind me that run those other businesses. But it really helps with the relatability for the customers we work with. It also really helps that we still have that commercial snow and ice division. So we use this equipment. So we really know what works, what doesn't, how it works, what doesn't work. I mean, it really helps us truly give the best advice to our customers. And I think that's really been impactful for the people we work with, just knowing that we go through the same challenges that they do. On any given day, if they're having an issue in their company, we probably have had the same issue in our snow company. So I think having that relatability factor has been a big part of our success at Voigt Smith Innovation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, you guys aren't just saying, you should buy this or, you should try this. It's like you guys are using that, like you said. And so if there's an issue and if it's not working, you're seeing that firsthand in your own business. So when kind of want to backtrack a little bit, when did you know that you wanted to be, or how about this? When did you realize that you were an entrepreneur?
That's funny. So I saw that on your prep sheet, and my initial reaction was when I started mowing lawns when I was 12, 13 years old. But actually, when I take a real look, as crazy as this sounds, way back in like 5th and 6th grade, I started buying packs of football and baseball and basketball cards, and I would sell off individuals to my friends, my classmates in school. Also, as crazy as it sounds, would bring I would buy bulk bins of goldfish, or actually steal them from my parents, probably put them in bags, and I'd sell them at recess as snacks. So I kind of started peddling and selling stuff then. Around 8th grade, my parents, with my parents' permission, opened an eBay account, started doing some selling on eBay. And I actually sold, my father owned a FBO that runs the Mankato Airport, North Star Aviation, and they had extra avionics and parts they wanted to sell. And I actually sold those on eBay for him and took a commission on those. So I actually started back in grade school, as crazy as that sounds. And I think, I wouldn't say that's when I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I think that's when I started showing glimpses of having that ability and that drive.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's why it's such a fascinating question, because a lot of times it's not necessarily when you took that full step into your own business. It's a lot of times way before that. And I kind of think back to myself as well. I've had a full-time job up until August of 2021, but way before that, I mean, I've always been entrepreneurial and just looking for my opportunity to do it full time. But, I think that's been ingrained in me for a long time, and obviously in yourself. So when did you see, when were you able to take kind of a step outside of the operations in your landscaping company, and how has that helped you kind of focus on some other things as well?
Yeah, great question. So, like I said, that business really took off while I was attending college. I had to pay for college, and the way I did that is by working a lot. I didn't want to take out a bunch of student loans and that kind of thing. So I worked a ton. I worked full time and went to school full time. It wasn't until after I graduated college, I was really able to dedicate full time to the business, start hiring some full-time people. Throughout college, I just recruited my friends and roommates and stuff to help. But I was always in the field working in the business, not on the business. I would say somewhere around 2011, 12, I started hiring on actual foremen to run my crews. 2013, I brought on a full-time maintenance manager, lawn care manager. And at that time I was still in the field part-time, just because I really loved it. I enjoyed getting my hands dirty, doing the work. But at that point I started focusing more on building the business than working in it. So I'd say that was a pretty good transition point for me. And that's right about the time that we launched VSI as well.
Yeah, I love that because I'm currently going through that, and I'm sure, as you can attest to, it's kind of a weird feeling. You're almost trying to remove yourself out of the business and seeing if the wheels are going to fall off or not. Right. But back to your initial point, it's all about the people you bring in, and you honestly couldn't do it without your team and your people. And then, you do still have to have that leadership role where you're driving the mission, because as they say, nobody else loves your business as much as you do. So, you still need to be there as far as, the visionary and, driving that mission home. But I love what you did, because it's very difficult in the industry for a lot of guys to remove themselves, because it's that owner operator type of business. So not that it's a bad thing to, continue to be in the field, because most guys, that is their passion as well. But it's really cool to see, how you've expanded off of that, built this business, and then are continuing to expand in other businesses.
And I think one thing I'm really proud of that we've done is we've had a very high retention rate of our staff. So I feel like we have a very strong company culture, people first. I know that's the new big buzzword now, is because labor is so hard to come by, our people are first, employees first. Yeah. I feel like we've had that mentality from day one, even before there was labor shortage. So we have a lot of, even though we're young as companies, we have a lot of longtime employees, and what we actually have seen a lot of too is as VSI has grown, we've pulled some key people from the landscape business and moved them over to the VSI opportunities so that they can continue to grow and evolve with their careers as well.
Absolutely. What would you say is like your favorite thing about working like in that industry, in the landscaping, snow removal industry? What is your favorite thing about working with those people and in that industry?
Yeah, I think, I mean, to be totally transparent, I just don't have a lot of other experience in other industries. So I've grown to love it because I've been in it my whole life. Right. So that's part of it. But the other part of it is I think you find a lot of very down to earth, salt of the earth people, just because they all started probably similarly, not everyone, but most of these business owners started off working with their hands, getting their hands dirty, working 70 hours a week, working out in the heat, working in the freezing cold, and that builds character and that builds drive. And I think, again, not that I've worked in a lot of other industries, but when I go to networking events and stuff, it just seems like there's a very common thread of very driven, hardworking, passionate people in our industry.
Absolutely. I love that because within the last 6 months, so up until the last 6 months, we, as a marketing agency, would kind of take on any client and, we'd work with real estate agencies, demolition companies, bakeries, whoever needed a website, whoever needed some digital marketing. But about 6 months ago, we actually niched down and we're going full on dirt world. If you have an excavator, if you have a landscaping company, we're only going to work with you. And awesome. I've just been so passionate about it because maybe not so much the industry even, but the people that make up the industry. And right. I just am on fire for it. I see the need for digital marketing. And then also just the people that are in my corner now that own these companies, they're just like some of the coolest people and some of my best friends now. So, and that's why I love doing these podcasts too, because I get to talk to people like you who have started a business in this field and then really kind of dive into those processes that you've gone through. So,
I'd say you nailed it. I think we've really found that focusing on your niche is really where the magic happens. I mean, we've even, and we'll probably get into it in one of your next questions, but we've really trimmed down what we do and who we cater to. And that's been the best thing we've ever done.
Absolutely. That's what I kind of tell people is that, you can go specific and then go vertical in that and really just hammer down. And it makes the country feel so small. All of a sudden now you're just talking to people on the East Coast, West Coast, probably not a whole lot down south for snow removal stuff, but it'll get there. But what, if you could talk a little bit, I know we've got a lot of people listening that, own these companies. What kind of hardships or difficulties have you gone through owning a landscaping company, and how have you kind of overcome those difficulties?
Yeah, I think as I alluded to earlier, labor, especially, on the lower skill side, it has been very difficult to come by. Yeah. We're in southern Minnesota where the population is not very dense. And we don't typically draw as high of a, Hispanic population as it amazes me. I travel all over the country meeting with these landscape companies and 90% of the workforce is Hispanic. We just don't have as many of those people here. And then between that and the population density being lower, it's more difficult to find people willing to do that kind of labor. So labor has definitely been a problem. I know there was years where we had the ability, enough work and enough capital to scale, but we couldn't find the people to do it.
Right.
That was a big challenge in that business. And that's really truthfully one area where the manufacturing world has been easier for us to scale because we can use automation in our factory, in our plant, in order to scale quite a bit faster than we can in the landscape world. I know there's more and more automation coming to the landscape and snow worlds, but it's quite a ways behind where manufacturing is. So that's, labor's been a big thing. And then the other thing too, is just the climate we're in, so one thing that always drove me crazy, and still does with the landscape and snow business is you can't bank on an 8-month landscape season. You can't bank on getting snow. Now, yes, there's ways around that. And yes, you can plan your business accordingly to insulate yourself from fluctuations in seasonality and snow totals, but you can only insulate yourself so much without driving your price so high that you're not competitive in the market anymore. Right. So I think that's been the other biggest challenge that we've had is just finding that balance between making sure that seasonality won't hurt our business, and also keeping our price competitive enough to not price ourselves totally out of the market.
Right. And what I just thought of, actually, what I really love about VSI is that, if you think about it, if somebody's digging for gold, like most businesses are, you took the path of like, you're selling the shovels now for them to dig gold. And it's like just the coolest business to be in, because you're helping them achieve their goals. You're helping them drive their business up. And it's very similar to what we do. We're a tool for these businesses. So it's really cool to see you on kind of both sides of that equation. So update here, we got season 2, episode 2 of Phaser Friday. I'm talking with Jordan Smith, kind of going through everything he's gone through in his business. Jordan, I just want to take it back a little bit. And why are you doing all of this? Like, what is your why? If you don't mind talking a little bit about that, because I think we all have one deep down, but what is your why for your businesses?
Yeah. So on the VSI side, the equipment side, manufacturing side, our core focus is a better way to bear pavement. So everything we do, kind of our niche, what we focus on is helping snow companies find a better way to get their customers' lots to bare pavement. So whether that be live edge snow plows that contour and scrape the pavement better, whether it be utilizing liquids for pre-treatment to help prevent the bond of snow and ice through the pavement, or whether that be using liquid as a post-treatment in order to get the snow and ice melted faster, leave cleaner results for their clients, and offer their clients a high level of safety on their property. So we do have some periphery products that don't fit that core focus, which I alluded to earlier, that we're slowly eliminating, because we're truly trying to totally focus on that core focus of a better way to bare pavement.
Right. So are you guys national, or do you go international, or how far do your customers reach?
Yep. So we're throughout North America. So that'd be the USA and Canada. Obviously, there's no snow in Mexico. So we don't sell any de-icing equipment or snowplows there. But the US and Canada, obviously the snow belt, as you alluded to earlier, we're not selling snowplows or de-icers in Florida.
Right.
However, with some of these crazy ice and snowstorms in Texas and Alabama and Oklahoma the last couple of years, we have picked up a lot more customers in those more southern periphery states, just because the type of equipment we're selling is high efficiency, high productivity equipment.
Right.
And it's more beneficial for those low snow climates to have one piece of high efficiency equipment than to have 3 pieces of low efficiency equipment. So we're seeing our market area grow, but generally speaking, Snowbelt and USA and Canada is our primary market areas.
Right. And then as far as like your products, how did you go about like formulating those, or how, like, are you a part of that, or somebody else, or is it a team, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So going back to using liquids at Smith Lawn and Landscape, our landscape company, we made homemade spray units, homemade brine mixers to make our salt brine that we could apply on our customers' parking lots. They weren't pretty, they weren't fancy, but they got the job done, and they worked well. As that evolved into actually starting and forming Voigt Smith Innovation, you'll hear the names Voigt and Smith in the name. David Voigt is my business partner for VSI. He is our head engineer, and he develops and creates all of the products as you see them today. I focus more on the sales, marketing, and vision side of the business. So kind of the overall direction, culture, that kind of thing. But David's really the brainchild behind the way the equipment looks and functions. He's a very skilled, talented engineer, certainly not something that I'm strong with. Mm-hmm. I'm strong about knowing what I want our stuff to do. I'm not strong with actually making it do that. And that's where we complement each other very, very well.
Yeah. And it's almost like the fact that you can admit that takes you so much further, because a lot of people, I think what holds them back in business is they don't admit that they don't know everything. And that, luckily, that was one of my first things I realized is like, this stuff that other people are doing is very hard and I can't do it. So once I like got over that and admitted it, it was like everything opened up, and you're like, okay, so I just need to put good people in my corner to help me with this stuff. And it sounds like, you obviously get that as well, of like, yeah, I can't know everything. I can't be in all these places at once. And so who do I need to put in my corner to really make this thing take off?
Absolutely. Nailed it right on the head. Yep.
Awesome. So, we get I get the privilege to talk to a lot of, business owners, especially in this space. We get a lot of them listening in and, kind of asking questions, which is awesome. So in your experience, building up these companies, what is like a piece of advice you'd give to somebody just starting a company like from scratch right now in this space, and somebody that's, maybe 2 years in looking to scale it?
Absolutely. Great questions. I know one thing I've learned over the years is that if you have things in your past business career that you regret, it usually means that you didn't take someone else's advice or follow their direction. And when I look back to my earliest years of scaling the landscape business, I was given a lot of really good advice, but I was too stubborn. I thought I knew better. And I learned a lot by making big, expensive mistakes. And again, in hindsight, if I would have just listened to some of those people who had been there and done that, I could have gotten further at. Now, obviously, there's some things I feel like I did right and did the way I wanted to, and it worked out for the better. But there are also plenty of things where, again, I sought advice. I didn't like the advice I was given, and so I didn't do it. And in hindsight, again, if I would have looked at what those people had achieved and accomplished in their businesses compared to how small and new mine was, I could have saved a lot of money and time scaling by taking their advice. So a lot of that advice was given, through industry networking, through going to events, industry events. You look at a company that's doing $25 million in landscape and maintenance. And, I'm just starting out and they say, well, don't do this because this is what happened to us. We tried it, didn't work. And I'm like, nah, I can totally do it. I know better than that. It's not always the case, but for the most part, if they have that type of business, it's for a reason. So truly take the time to listen and learn from people who've been there and done it. Obviously, having some of your own unique things and your own innovations is very important. You're not just going to emulate someone exactly, but right. I would say that keep your unique ideas to the 10% and follow the lead of those that have been successful for the other 90.
Yeah, I love that. And Jordan, you and I were talking right before we started recording this podcast, and we were talking about, kind of like my trip out to Miami and my coaching that I'm involved in. And really it made me think exactly what you're talking about there is, be a sponge and take in everything, but at the same time, realize that you do have something to offer. You could be different. And that's kind of that 10%. So don't copy them exactly, but also like they've built it up somehow and for a reason. So take the advice, be a sponge, soak it in, but never feel like you have nothing to offer, especially in a conversation or with other businesses. And just believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing and, put your best foot forward as well.
Absolutely.
But Jordan, I definitely appreciate, you taking the time to record this podcast. I know it's been a long time coming, so I really appreciate you taking the time. It's kind of as we wrap up here, what's the best way for, entrepreneurs or landscaping companies or just anyone that wants to follow along with what you're doing? Like, what's the best way for them to contact you or just continue to follow along?
Yeah. So just to preface that, one of my favorite things to do is just to talk shop with other landscape and snow company owners and manufacturing for that matter. I don't feel that I have maybe quite as much to offer for advice in the manufacturing world, just because I'm newer to that world. But I love talking to people about their businesses and what's working and what's not and what they're trying. So I'm happy to talk to people anytime. I tend to talk way too long, so set aside some extra time. If you want to give me a call, feel free, but I'm on LinkedIn, just search for Jordan Smith, Facebook as well. I'm the guy with the profile picture with the four little kids. Can't miss it. Otherwise, feel free to email jordan@vsinnovation.com. If you want to shoot me an email there, I can get you my cell phone number. We can connect directly that way too.
Awesome. And Jordan, we'll have all your information linked on our website. So if you guys are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can just go to our website, which is phasermarketing.com, and then click on the Phaser Friday tab, and you'll find the full episode with the webpage that we built around this podcast. So check it out. We got a lot of great things there. And Jordan, once again, thank you so much, man. Let's have a killer year.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.